Hello, everyone. It's another edition of Casual Mode. We're somehow managing to do this 2 weeks in a row somehow. I guess we finally had some releases that we were eager to take a look at. So my name is Bryan Vitale, and we've got a couple other people here with me today. I've got James Galizio
Hey, folks.
and Adam Vitale.
Hello.
So we are obviously looking at Bravely Default 2, which just came out last Friday or so. Obviously, it's been a big focus of our site. We put up a big review on the release date. We put up a few guides over the weekend about jobs, about exploring the overworld and all of that. And here we are, pretty early in the game. None of us had pre-release access to this. We're all just playing this, for fun. We got it, over the weekend and just now starting. This is in the prologue. Do either of you have experience playing the other games in the Bravely series?
I've played Bravely Default 1, and honestly, I wasn't too excited about this before, Colin said they enjoyed it so much, and I basically fell in love with Final Fantasy V over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah.
What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I played both the other Bravely games as well as Final Fantasy V.
Did you feel more
I-
strongly about them or no?
I mean, I think they're pretty good games. At least the combat system, which is the most important part to me. So, considering this game seems to have very similar stylings in terms of a job system and all that, yeah, I definitely am interested in trying it out. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Okay, go ahead and get into a battle, James, or listen to the party chat in the upper right.
Yeah, I'll do party chat first.
Unfortunately, I don't think these are voiced, so you won't be able to hear the wonderful accents of the English dub. Very Tales-like or Dragon Quest-like. So this is early in the game. Basically, I'm still also in the prologue, so I don't know really how anything turns out, but the main protagonist's name is Seth by default. He shipwrecks near the castle of Halcyonia, and then while coming to his bearings, he's met up with these two adventurers, Elvis and Adele, who are looking for asterisks, which are basically like powerful artifacts that in the game they are what the jobs unlocks are represented as. So it's a little bit gamey, it's a little bit conceited, but this is just off the prologue, so just now establishing the premise. So this is right when the party was first basically formed.
Now, time to fight a Sahagin, I
Yep.
think.
So how do we
And a
feel? That's an orc. Excuse me. How do we feel about how this game looks?
The resolution's like my main concern. I feel like the lighting is a lot better than it looked in the previews and the older demos. It definitely feels like it's been improved a bit.
I also
It's
think
like-
in general the game looks better in motion than it does in screenshots.
It's a bit of an acquired taste, but I do actually kind of like that it's trying something different. I do also like how the enemies, especially, look. They almost look like, this is going to sound really dumb because it's from Clay Tech Works or whatever, but they look like claymation, sort of like statues or something.
Yeah, that's definitely the style they're going for. And I'm with you. Like, cell shading is nice and all, but I don't want like every single Japanese RPG to use cell shading. Just like
Yeah.
try something different, try something new. So
And by the way, the Adele and Seth are both freelancers, so they do have an ability to like scan, so you can see like their health pools. But yeah, it's been a while.
Isn't everybody a
since
freelancer?
Elvis is a mage.
Oh, okay.
He might be a subclass
Yeah, do
freelancer.
something
I
quick.
forget. It's been a while
Where's
since
the setting to use L for default?
I used L for default.
Yeah, that is an option, right?
I don't remember.
Because I remember Colin saying something about that. Controls, there we go. Okay,
These just looks like they tell you the controls. They don't allow you to edit.
the heck? That's so weird that you can't set it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Colin said there was an option. That's...
One more time. Look one more time.
Uh,
These are for your passive abilities.
settings...
quick default.
There we go. There we go.
That's a very
Why
peculiar.
is that not on? Does L do
Right.
anything else?
No, why is that not on by default? Because
Why is quick default not on by default? I think Cullen made
all
the same
planned.
note in his review.
Okay. I'll need to set that when I get back to this.
So one thing that's different in this game compared to the other Bravely games is that combat on the overworld is initiated by running into like an enemy icon rather than random encounters.
yeah.
So in Bravely Default for 3DS as well as Bravely Second, you have a slider in the menu. You can basically turn on what incidents of random battles you run into. But here, enemy icons, so you don't directly control whether battles are there or not. It's just whether or not you run into them.
Here I go.
Slimy things.
It's kind of weird because like that was like Bravely Default was breaking the mold. Like we were going to do random battles, but we're going to give you all these toggles and options. But now we're like, we're doing the pretty tried and true enemy model representing random battles appear in the overworld. Attack from behind to get a preemptive strike. Don't be attacked from behind to not be ambushed. So it's pretty well worn at this point. But I guess it works. Don't reinvent the wheel.
I mean, effectively, it's the same thing, right? You can battle when you want and avoid battles when you want to avoid them.
So I guess there's two different
I guess
types
the
of
only
advantage.
issue-
You can get an advantage by attacking from behind or from swinging your sword. If you swing your sword, you get your brave point. Attacking behind, I think your turn just appears quicker.
Okay then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going all in.
So you can. Now, one thing that's also a little bit different mechanically, comparing this to the earlier games, is that each person's turn is individual. It's like it's pure turn based, rather than in
It's-
Bravely Default, you had like rounds where you basically set everyone's action all at once.
It's not quite like ATB, but there is turn gauges. So I mean, it's similar. It's weird.
It's like
weird.
it's like ATB if you set the option on those classic Final Fantasy games to, I think, like pause or halt.
Wait.
Wait, that's what it was.
Mhm.
But it's been a while since I played a job-based JRPG. It's been a while that I've played a JRPG that had a very classic style overworld. So this really seems kind of like for people that are like us that are nostalgic for this sort of thing, or are playing through that era of Final Fantasy games right now. Right up our alley.
You were mentioning the voices before, and I think it's worth mentioning that the localization for this game was done by Schlock. That is a real word. It's SH.
Don't they do the Dragon Quest localizations?
Yep. And they also did Ni no Kuni. So it's got that British, and they are set in England somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where, but so that's why you get that British English style of localization and spellings and whatnot. And also the voice production for English was done at Side, and Side does a hell of a lot of stuff, like Assassin's Creed, Cyberpunk, but they also did like Dragon Quest XI. So basically, it's the same combination of localization and voiceover that did Ni no Kuni, Dragon Quest XI, and things like that. So
And it permeates into the
we get a
dub.
very
Like,
similar vibe.
talk about whinging and drongo and like weird
Yeah.
British European colloquialisms. Oh, I never fought this guy. I never went out this far on the beach. Yeah, save.
You missed a chest.
I did fight another rare monster, and it was doing the very like Xenoblade sort of thing where it had like 6,000 health. I'm like, maybe I leave that for
Should
later.
come- Yeah.
Let's see how much this is going to
Hurt.
Yeah.
There is a there are it seems kind of like a weird balance, but there are some accessories you can buy at town that give 500 HP, which right now is like more than doubling their HP. So maybe go get those. Oh, it's a Pokemon.
Oh,
shit.
shit!
I have a feeling you're not supposed to fight this thing yet.
No, scan them. No, I want to do the scan them. This see how much health he has.
I like his little goofy running animation. It's like, get out of here.
Oh, you
Oh, he
do-
does-
No,
Sure.
is she like still dead or yeah? Adele is dead. You got a better knife.
I love how I just was like, I wonder how much damage it's gonna do. Smack! It's like, oh shit!
It's weird
Adele has
though
a lot
that
of
they
health
like.
compared to your other characters.
Well, it's because she has an accessory that gives her like 500 HP, so you can buy more at town. And I keep talking like I'm an expert. I'm only like an hour into the game, but yeah, I bought some of those accessories at town just to give yourself a lot more of a health cushion.
No, I'm curious. Can you? Elvis is a mage. Can you turn anyone else into a mage yet? Like, have you
think-
unlocked it?
I think you can
Jobs.
if you wanted to.
Oh yeah. So yeah, those are the 2 jobs you have. Okay. So to unlock the other jobs, you have to fight the
Astro
Asterisk
Soldiers.
soldiers, which I know some of them are story and some of them are like side quests. At least that's how they are in the other game.
Yeah.
So it looks like day and night system for different monster types.
And it's, I like how when it's night, he pulls out like a lantern.
Yeah.
Of course he would.
Again, I think the game actually looks really nice if it wasn't for the low resolution on Switch. Like, if this gets a PC port down the line, I think a lot of people will actually come around on the art style.
Or a Switch Pro, Switch 2,
Yeah.
Switch Eye,
Somebody
new
help
Switch.
me.
You okay? What's the matter?
A horrible man and woman took me, but then an old man and another woman came and saved me, but then the man got attacked and now he's really badly hurt.
We'd better go help him out. Will you show us where he is?
Obviously, this game also does have Japanese voice option.
Whoa.
Apparently, Seth has like a
Are
really
you
deep voice
okay?
in Japanese, so it's kind of a bit of a contrast to his
Wait a
English
second.
VA.
You're the guy from before.
Greetings, young seafarer.
You're hurt. We need to get you seen to right away.
Tis not. But the princess,
What happened to Gloria? Is she okay?
the fiends, took her.
Never mind that now. Let's get you to bed.
You're right.
I was waiting for. Oh, there he goes. Jiggered.
Also, it's auto
So
advance.
you're the famous Sir Sloan, eh?
And of course, we got Scrooge
Lady
McDuck
Emma
over here.
told me all kinds of
Yeah.
wild tales about you, my man.
Oh, and how is dear Emma? Is she well?
I'm afraid she passed on 6 months ago or so.
I see. Thou wert her apprentice. Time truly does fly. Why, I can recall when the good lady studied under another herself. But forgive me, much as I would love to spend the day in fond reminiscence, alas, there are more pressing matters at hand. I must away and wrest Her Highness from the clutches of those unconscionable rogues.
Sorry, but you won't be resting anyone from anything in your condition. I'd be surprised if you could rest yourself out of bed.
But I must.
Well, how about I join you?
You are kind indeed, young sir, but I cannot allow it. The rogues in question are in possession of an asterisk.
Well, that's all the more reason to go deal with
And that's
it,
kind of what
right?
their goal is right now, is that
Besides,
those two are out
I owe
seeking
you after you
asterisks.
helped me out back there at the
Asterisks?
beach.
But
Asterisks?
good sir,
I'm coming too. If there's an asterisk involved, I'm there with bells on.
thine aid is appreciated, but might I ask why the asterisk would interest thee so?
Oh, aye. Ask away, pal. It's because of this old book, see? I found it when I was going through Lady Emma's stuff. I couldn't read a word of it when I first picked the thing up. But wave an asterisk near it, and the gobbledygook starts making sense. And I'm nothing if not nosy, so I set out on a quest to find enough of these special wee stones to read the whole thing.
Intriguing.
If I can find another asterisk and help your pal into the bargain, then everyone's a winner.
Great. Then we should leave right away.
Though it weighs heavy on my conscience to enlist the aid of strangers, I fear I have little choice. You have my thanks. Her Highness has been taken to an abandoned building north of the town. Let us make haste.
Orlando joins the party.
Yep.
I do like just the UI in general, just menus,
Yep.
the icon work, even like the overlay here, just in regular gameplay, the background art
Yep.
looks very
the
much like a
cutscene style and the this little town style is very similar to the 3DS games.
I could take or leave the face-to-face dialogue, but I guess like I don't know like what better option there would be for a game of like this caliber. I do really love the just like the town exploration, how it looks, and like you can zoom out and go to like the panoramic view, which maybe we'll demo when we're out of the shop. But that's pretty cool.
Watch you purchase this wizard rod, and then you'll find it like in a chest somewhere.
Oh, I'm
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Yeah, go to the I think it's actually best to put down to get the accessories, which is the green thing. Oh, you can only afford one. But yeah, maybe give a star pendant to Seth because it's like literally more than double his health. And I do know he talked about it in his preview and review, but like the weight system is interesting because you normally see that sort of thing as like an encumbrance system in like a Western RPG. But here it's kind of like the more armor you have, the higher your weight and the more likely you are to be attacked. So it's kind of like the way that they have like an
Well, I
aggro
mean,
system.
Well, I mean, if you look at the equipment system, like as somebody that has been playing through the Final Fantasy series in order, this is like entirely Final Fantasy stuff. Like the equipment here, basically, I want to say you could just like any of the like old school Final Fantasies. You had the 3 equipment slots, your weapon. Well, I guess 2 equipment slots, your weapon. You can have either a shield or something in your upper hand. Then usually you have like 2 like accessory slots. Like even
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 6, which I've been going through.
But did they
have
have weight? I actually don't recall. I've been playing some Saga games, and those have weight.
Oh, they do?
Yes,
Mhm.
the earlier Final Fantasy games did have weight. In fact, that was a huge deal in Final Fantasy 2, where it's like
Mhm.
you would have to consider weight because that had an impact on your evasion, I think, to a certain degree, and also your
Yeah.
accuracy. So
And Saga is the same, which makes
Oh, by
sense
the
'cause
way,
Saga 2 is Saga.
There are 2 chests in town. Here, I know what I can tell you to do. I don't mean to like backseat drive, but go to your ability menu, and then Adele should have a passive ability, or actually, I guess Seth learned it. So basically, it just shows you how many chests are in the area. For this one, it's in that little pot right there. I forget what's in the chest, just that's where it is. Shield.
Oh yeah, a buckler.
Thing is, I think I didn't equip it because like I just kept her with 2 weapons, and then if I tried to put it on him, he like was overweighted already. Yeah, so I didn't put it on him. So you'll have to take off his something else if you want to put it on. But I just held on to it for like later. It does increase your physical defense by like a lot, and I do think it's a good sign when an RPG is forcing you to kind of make choices like that this early, where it's like, all right, I've got a shield. If I equip it, my physical defense shoots up, but I have to take it. Like he took off his accessory. Like look at that physical. I didn't see what it went up from, but I think it went up about like 10, which is a lot probably in the early game. There's also another chest if you go up the stairs into the castle, and that's
well,
the last
let
one.
me hit the castle though. That's a question.
I think it does.
Oh, yes, it does.
I forget again also what's in this chest. I just remember being up here.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Starting this right after, so close proximity to Final Fantasy V, this fits like a glove.
I forget if that's good for Elvis or not. I do like how it gives a little like staff icon. I guess it increases restoration, but yeah. Oh, she doesn't even have a hat. All right, now you have a hat. I like how it gives like a little staff icon, like this is a magical hat. You know, equip it on your mages, and then of course, if you're just trying to breeze through it, there is the kind of the auto equip option. I like to micromanage though. So
Yeah, overall, I'm already feeling really good about the menus and whatnot. Very well designed.
I wonder, like I've only ever played this on a big screen, but it seems like it'd be well suited for handheld mode on the Switch, and I wonder if that would alleviate some of the resolution playing it on a big monitor or a big TV relative to the
I have
Switch's
seen
screen.
people say that the game, works well on a handheld, but on the flip side, the lighting engine looks a lot worse in handheld mode.
Mm-hmm.
How does he swing his sword when he has the
Let's do this.
lantern?
You can hold a lantern with one hand.
It looks kind of awkward with the animation.
What's the plan?
It feels good.
Yeah, I think this is like a lot of RPGs, at least classic ones, do this where it's like you have guest character who makes a lot of this, like he does a shit ton of damage and he'll heal you. I think he even like uses Phoenix down if you die. So it's just like, training wheels. I needed those.
Okay, I'm going all in.
Maybe you can I'm not being serious, like maybe you can take out that lizard on the beach now. Probably not if you can still one shot all your characters.
I'm amazing.
I'll probably attempt it after I get Gloria back. Seems like a good chance to do that.
I did run into another monster. That was another rare monster on this peninsula or whatever. That was also like dealt 1,000 damage. So I actually kind of like that, to have like, here's an obstacle that we're gonna like dangle in front of your face that you cannot beat yet, but one day you'll come back
No big deal.
and you'll be strong enough to
Revenge
take it
tour.
on.
Let's see.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it also kind of helps with the.
Okay.
This is gonna sound dumb, but like, how come everything around the first town is weaker than everything around the last town? It's like, nope, that's not the case here.
Yep.
Here I go.
In general, I know I already mentioned this, but the character designs I'm fine with. I don't love them. I don't hate them. They're okay. I do like the monster designs though. They're kind of
Yep.
cutesy, but not in a way where they feel like childish. I don't know. I'm not good with adjectives. They fit the world that they're in.
Oh, yeah, I see. There's some rare monsters there.
Well, I don't think those are rare. I think they're just glowing red, basically saying these are difficult for you right now. The rare monsters, I think, always stand
Let's
still.
do this.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I love the orcs. They look like they know how to have a good time. Oh, thank you, Sloan.
Going all in.
Yeah, Sloan is interesting because he's a much more like Final Fantasy 3 remake instead of Final Fantasy 5, because you have guest characters in Final Fantasy 3 remake, where occasionally it'll do things at the start of battle or like in between turns and whatnot.
Hey, you tricked
Job
me.
level.
What's next for me?
I do like, obviously, I'm trying to extrapolate from very early game, but you earn your first few job levels incredibly quickly. So it kind of, you get a new job, you do a couple battles, and you're immediately given a few skills to play with before the amount of EXP required really ramps up.
Yeah, that's the same thing in Final Fantasy 5.
I know some people, we talked about this game a fair bit on the casual mode from this week
Did you
for about
see
half
that?
an hour, and it was mostly
You mean the TetraCast?
Sorry,
The
yeah.
TetraCast.
yeah, too many projects like TetraCast this week, and it's one of those things where it's like, is a game grindy if you're encouraged to fight random monsters when you get new jobs? And it kind of depends on like your definition of grinding or like your tolerance for it. Because if I were to play this game and all of a sudden like you unlock the ninja and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go out in this peninsula and fight random battles to figure out how the ninja looks and acts and works. Is that grinding? I don't know. I don't know what PG is. What does that stand for?
Pieces of gold.
Maybe, but then why was it silver? I like how this guy's just like, yeah, there's there's like an undead skeleton horse and there's an Ochu.
Oh, party chat.
So him, Emma, and two other people we have not learned about yet, I assume. How much is this like foreshadowing his heroic death? I actually don't know anything. I don't know if that happens, but I can easily see that.
Yeah, always assume the mentor character will die. I don't know if he dies either. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I would say that so far this one's leaning even harder in on the fact that it's basically just a Final Fantasy game than Bravely Default 1. I mean, hell, even have like outright Phoenix Downs. I don't think they were called Phoenix Downs in 1, were they?
Don't
remember.
Yeah. I do know that Bravely Default 1 didn't have tents, and tents are very early Final Fantasy.
Yeah, a lot of the terminology. I mean, obviously, it's not like Final Fantasy has, exclusive rights to using these sorts of common terms, but the fact that they're ochis and tents and potions rather than called like something else.
You see that? I'm amazing.
But yeah, we've already talked about this, but I just really love these sorts of job system games because they offer, you, the player, a lot of room to just kind of construct a team how you like. And I've heard that some of the bosses in this game can get pretty difficult. And it's just the sort of thing where...
If I'm gonna be honest, like the main reason I actually decided to pick this up was because I heard people say that it actually required you to think a bit with your combinations.
Yeah, like play around with your party construction and your class, permutation and all that. Just trying to find a way to take on various enemies. Whether that's countering like a very specific boss strategy or just for like long treks through an overworld like this. Obviously, right now, early game, you only have 2 classes, but eventually there's like more than 20 in the game, and with 4 characters and subclasses. That's all, that's a lot of different combinations. And according to Cullen's review, and what he told us, this game has quite a bit of like post-game content, challenge type content as well. So like really tough bosses.
Well, I remember he I don't remember mimics. I don't remember the context, but he was saying like he wasn't sure, like he was trying to find. Remember how when Octopath Traveler came out and people were trying to figure out how to unlock that last side quest, and it was kind of like a mystery, not for too long, but for like a week. There was it sounded like there was a similar thing here where he was like, I think I've done everything, but I feel like there's one more boss. Like there's like something has been teased that I haven't fought yet. And then all of a sudden in the Discord chat, he's like, hell yeah, I found it or whatever. I don't know the details, but there was some like hidden super secret challenge at the end. So like that's something to look forward to if you really really dig this game. All JRPGs need super bosses.
Yeah, I can definitely say I can already see why, even if he I could see how he came to his conclusion, like 8 out of 10, but he personally liked it quite a bit, because I feel like I'm probably going to feel the same way.
It's one of those things where like reviews are subjective. They are a substantiated opinion, but you do still try to approach it with like a certain mindset of like level-headedness and objectivity, where you want to balance things appropriately in terms of like, I'm going to give this a 10 because I really thought Elvis's voice actor was great or something. It's like, it's a little bit, your weighted criteria is a bit off there, but sure.
One thing that's a hot take that I kind of have is that I feel like there's some games with the way that I review them, where there's some games that I've given, let's say an 8 out of 10, that I've enjoyed more than games that I would give a 9 out of 10. Sounds weird, but I'm not sure to understand what I mean.
I sort of get that. Like, if a game does like one particular thing incredibly well, like a game that I would use in that example would be like exploring and side objectives in like Final Fantasy 12, in my personal taste, or even like Xenoblade. I love the JRPGs that give you like big zones to explore and a lot of optional nooks and crannies to dial into. But then if you say like, oh, the characters aren't that great and the story is average and all this other stuff, and you're like, yeah, I guess that means like I have to like factor that in if I were to score it. But I still enjoy this game a hell of a lot because of that 1 or 2 things that it does incredibly well.
Yeah, like some of my favorite games, like honestly, I don't give a shit about the characters of the story because like I really love how this game plays and I really love the combat and the exploration and all that. So like it might be one of my favorite games, but if I were to like score it like with some sort of impartiality, it'd be like, well, I kind of have to factor it in a score, even though like in my enjoyment, I don't really mind it at all. So
I was actually playing a little bit of Persona 5 Strikers this week. I have not played the original Persona 5, so for some people that might be like blasphemous, but like I was still enjoying myself a fair bit just by like engaging with the systems underneath and the combat. It helps though that Persona 5, at least when you're when you're swimming in the RPG space so often, you learn a lot just through like osmosis, whether you want to or not. So I'm not like completely blind to it. I wonder what that, if that like ends up like being like a waypoint or a portal or something.
It looks like some doorway. Yeah.
I've actually kind of been spoiled on what that might be. I think that's like an optional boss way later on, because I remember.
That would make sense.
So, yeah.
I'm up, huh?
Man, Sloan just does everything. He pops you off when your health are low. He one-shots orcs.
Now I know also this game has a system where once you are a high enough level, like cumulative or average level, enemies will stop chasing you. So that's a nice system to have in place.
That's what Alex Seedhouse was saying on the Tetra cast this week.
Too easy.
But that's a nice system in place where, like, if you're re-exploring through an area that's clearly like, lower level than you, like that wolf was just chasing after you right there, you don't have to worry about that, in perpetuity, like throughout the entire game. Like, eventually, you'll get to a point where enemies will just kind of keep you be. You know what game was actually really poor about this? Shin Megami Tensei 4.
Never mind.
No, well that too, but Shin Megami Tensei 4, like, you have these overworld sprites that'll like chase you to the end of the world, even if they're like 60 levels lower, and you're like, stop it! I don't want to get into a fight. You're just gonna die.
My favorite solution to that is the original, or is it? It's either Paper Mario or the Thousand Year Door, where you can like equip a badge where if you're a higher enough level, you just bump them out of existence.
I know I should be going towards that like one building, but I feel like, well, if I can explore, I should.
I mean, who doesn't play RPGs that way? Weirdos.
That's one of the tenets of RPG playing, right? Is you always go the wrong way first.
Until you run
this
into like a
direction,
salamander that does 1,000 damage per hit.
Exactly.
I do feel like, man, like having Sloan there is making this like, oh, one enemy per battle. I just don't even need to consider because he will end its existence.
Take advantage of it.
It's it's like the whole Final Fantasy VIII and power leveling by killing off Squall and Zell and just letting Cypher take care of everything.
But that game has a weird mechanic, which James will find out in like 3 months.
We won't be going easy on you.
At his pace, it'll be like 2 months. Unless he's playing through all of the Final Fantasy VII compilation when he gets there.
I was considering it, but considering Ever Crisis is basically Square Enix saying, hey, you can just do this, so...
Yeah, I'm with you.
Did you see that? I'm amazing.
Yeah, maybe stop by town and get the
Yeah, I should have enough gold to buy some supplies now. I love how quickly some... Stop!
No.
I feel like my reaction time for these are actually pretty good.
They're sitting ducks.
Yeah, every RPG should have some system in place like this, where somehow, eventually, you can avoid encounters. Whether that's the enemies stop chasing you once you're a high enough level, you get some ability where you can reduce them.
I wonder what was the first game to replace random encounters with an overworld sprite representing an encounter? Would it be like one of those Saga games?
Romancing Saga has that, which that would have been like 1992. So
Man,
like
it's been around a long time. I remember like my first experience with it was like Tales of Symphonia or something. Like that's around the time, what, mid 2000, early 2000s, where like I had played like Final Fantasy X and other stuff that still could use the classic like screen shatter random encounter. I'm like, oh man, I can fight this thing on the overworld instead. Only in that game, they're like all represented by like black blobs. Well, at least they are in the overworld. Pro douche is the best. Okay.
There's a lot of NPCs to talk to.
Oh, even your I didn't catch that even your party members are around.
I didn't actually catch that either. Oh wow.
So you can buy another Starlight, whatever it was.
That is actually a worse weapon. No, so I'm
Well, there's
wondering
knives
if
and
it says weight with an up arrow, that actually means less weight. So you must be at 14 out of 14 right now.
If it says weight with an up arrow, it is going up. That's probably one thing that's a little bit weird. But,
Are you sure though? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's at 11.
oh,
Oh.
all right. That is weird. That? Oh, that's what he already has equipped. If I remember right, this is a pretty, like, look at that for Seth. It's like an upgrade on every way. And I love games with like itemization like this that allow you to micromanage. This is the stuff I live for. Just give me all the numbers. Is that why I'm here? Is that why I contribute to this site? Oh, that's the weird thing is that like when you equip that pendant, like now you have like, it looks like he's really weak because he has 300 out of 800 HP now because he just gained 500. Speed plus 4. I guess that's what that one is. Are you too poor to use the inn? Yes. You cannot sleep here. I wonder.
Awesome meat.
Yeah, I haven't used them yet, but like some of those things that you get, like the beast flesh.
Oh.
Or-
That's probably how you like would if you wanted to do some like power leveling later. You just use some of the flesh to like do continuous battles. Because at least how it worked in the other Bravely games is like
Is there some
when you
crap-
did like two continuous battles, you got a bonus for more than just 2 battles worth.
What were you saying,
of
James?
DXP and whatnot.
Is there, like crafting later or something? Because it's
Is
odd
there-
how there's like different like the monster tooth. It just says monster tooth. Doesn't do anything for like continuous battles.
Yeah, it's either for crafting or just sell for items. I know people might say like having items that are only used to sell is kind of pointless, but I like it just for intangible reasons. It just having to engage with the shop system and sell items.
It feels more appropriate because obviously, well, it makes more sense than enemies just randomly crapping out currency when you kill them.
Yeah, like, oh, I guess this wolf was sitting on 50 gold. That's
Yeah,
scrounger.
something
Even if you do get gold, like also just as part of the battle system. What is the somewhere up here? There's that like tent. I never talked to this person. Like, can you use that? Will they like let you rest in it?
Nope.
Oh, they're just saying, "Ha! Don't you wish you had a tent?" No.
So what's the plan? Princess Gloria's being held hostage, right?
Indeed she is, fair maiden. 'Twill be necessary for me to enter alone and begin negotiations.
This
lest the
doesn't seem
Bryn
good.
suspect foul play. However, at a suitable juncture, I shall create a distraction, allowing your merry band to swoop in and rescue Her Highness.
A distraction, eh? And how do you plan to do that?
With this, 'tis a sorcerer's stone that upon firm impact emits a most dazzling light. I shall cry out, "By the light of the sun, and by these words shalt thou know to enter." The princess knoweth well this phrase. 'Tis one we have long since settled upon, and by it shall know to close our eyes full tight.
Nice. So we just wait for the signal, then it's go time, right?
I do like how they all have different
Precisely.
manners of speaking, not just
Shall
their
be
accents,
counting
of
on you.
course, but like Sloane is more often to be like really like parading as "thou shallest," and then Adele doesn't really speak like that at all. All right, I have actually not entered this dungeon yet, so this is new to me. So this perspective is kind of different. I kind of like it.
Yep.
This guy, Tware. Vexation doth doll. This reminds me of Octopath Hanet's like people. Was it specifically her people? It always spoke like this.
Yep.
It's a fine line because sometimes I really like how it's done in like the retranslation of Final Fantasy Tactics, but in Octopath I didn't like it at all. Even though they're probably pretty similar.
No, I think Octopath went overboard a little bit. Like even like Tactics Ogre or whatever is not that.
Well, even like
flowery
Final
or attempting
Fantasy
to be.
12 and Tactics to my memory, they try to go with like they used a lot of like metaphors and like figurative language in a way that like fit that setting. Where in Octopath they just replace let's replace all the words with thy and thouest and call it a day.
Yeah,
It just seems
exactly.
more
It's more like
lazily.
it's more like a surface veneer than actually like sentence
Uh,
construction and diction and whatnot.
Yeah, find and replace in our Word document.
Now, if I remember, Bravely Default dungeons weren't super hot, so hopefully this one's is better.
Yeah, both Bravely Default and Octopath, a lot of the dungeons in those games are literally just like up halfway with a few dead ends, and like repeat that every single time, and that's it. So, kind of hope Bravely Default 2 has, you gotta have just a touch of maybe a labyrinthian, like maze-like structure, a couple of puzzles. Obviously, you don't want to go overboard, but make it more than just like,
Give me some
path.
switch that moves a door or locks a door or something.
yeah, make it. You can have a little bit of engagement with the player.
I like these
What is
guys,
that,
their outfits.
Like a bunny mage, what it is.
I think it's like a goblin,
There's no way we're losing this one.
or maybe.
I
Can't
do
tell.
really like the enemy designs.
I do too. Mage Ling.
Oh,
Counters the attack command. That's cool. But now you're screwed.
Use magic.
Let's
Counter
like-
this.
I'm amazing.
can't counter if you do enough damage. Should have bought options. I have.
Well, remember, Sloan will heal you up if you get too weak. Yeah, so far this is just.
Oh, I guess.
Well,
I'm too
I
far.
don't want to. I don't want to be too critical of like the first dungeon in the prologue. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this dungeon's
Yeah.
pretty basic. I'm gonna therefore like paint with a broad brush and, admonish this game for its dungeon design. Like, I really don't know. This almost is like,
Oh,
the first
sorry.
time someone's running away. This is almost like Zelda-like. Well, really only the perspective.
At least the aesthetics I'm a fan of.
The lighting's good. Now, will they explain why all those chairs were knocked over? Does that make sense?
There's
That wasn't a
no way
mistake
we're
going
losing
for.
Here I go. Okay.
Hmm?
I'm going all in.
What are they called? Bronze Squirrel.
Don't look bronze.
You know. Oh, thank you, Sloan.
All right then.
Easy mode.
Yeah, I was expecting I was gonna have to use Elvis to attack him. But someone was like, "Don't worry, I got this."
I'm amazing. I like what I'm seeing here.
So exciting.
Dungeon Master.
Well, you're in a dungeon, so maybe that's good.
Let's see.
So the passive skills are the green ones.
Let's see.
I think I saw when you tagged.
Provides all terrain damage. That lets me know that there's going to be terrain inflicted damage eventually.
Go to Elvis. Oh, I get that. That must be a battle ability. But I think Elvis's ability that he just learned was also a passive. Yeah. Does it count as night if you're in a dungeon that's dark?
We've got the upper hand, guys. Okay, what's the
Those
plan?
remind me of like they remind me of something, but I can't call it to memory right now.
Oh,
Right. Let's see.
Tank?
Maybe like spirit tracks, like the suits of armor in that game. I forget if they're floating or not, if they have legs.
I can kind of see it. They have a similar design to them.
So it looks like if you go right and down, you might be able to go. No, go into that room to the right. No. There was a chest down there that I think you had to go through like an invisible wall to get to.
Already, the dungeon designs are better than Bravely Default. Because this was an entirely optional path.
Mm-hmm. But like if you go down here,
Ah, tricky. The thing is that they would have seen that opening easy. Oh, what a tease! Ha, you've made it.
Watch out, guys.
I don't
that's-
like. It seems kind of pointless that it's like it's just a forced battle. It'd be cool if it was actually like a mimic type monster that was a mini boss or something.
That was a piece of cake.
I mean, you don't really have mimics too often in the early Final Fantasies.
is anyone using axes?
Well, Freelancer's can equip it, but oof.
Heavy.
Maybe Adele?
It lowers her aim and her critical chance, but not.
Not
It only raises her attack by, like,
it got
one.
rid of her. It's a two-handed weapon, I guess. But it got rid of her offhand.
I assume
Let's
it's more
stay
suited
focused.
for like an actual axe job. What is
Oh
that?
wait, did she not actually equip it?
No.
I can't figure out who it was now.
What's the plan?
Well, what is that? Oh, it's slow and just one shot.
Did you see that? I'm amazing.
The treasure chest counter is nice for a
Just saying.
completionist.
Seriously, saying, who is that? And someone's like, no. Who was that?
No mini map, so this is like Dark Souls up in here.
There's
Crucify me for that needless comparison. Oh, that thing's kind of cool.
Not to kill him? Okay, let's see.
I'm going all in.
Frere. Okay. You know what?
I'm gonna take a guess and say he's weak to ice.
I'm up, huh?
Oh, he was not that
Okay,
good.
that
Did you see that? I'm
I'm gonna
amazing.
miss you, Sloan, when you die. Again, I don't know if he actually dies. So it looks like the chest counter is per floor.
Yep. Which is very helpful, actually.
Yep.
Oh, I can see where those 3 chests are already. Well,
Wait,
What
what?
hit me?
I didn't see that either. Maybe this is a cutscene.
Let's do this.
Oh, nope.
Oh, there's some
Yeah.
hidden in there.
thanks,
Thank
Okay then.
Sloan.
This is like Star Wars when Obi-Wan has to make a distraction but dies in the process. Have y'all seen that movie? You guys are no fun.
Too easy. I just keep getting
Yeah, it'll be nice when you're not having 2 people on the same job. I'm the sort of person where, like, even if it doesn't fit, like, once I have 4 unique jobs, I'm going to try to have all 4 of my characters leveling them up independently. I do know, though, obviously, like, even Josh on the Petrocast was talking about how he set a couple characters to be very similar because it was just a combination that was just really strong.
I remember in Bravely Default and Bravely Second, or I'm not sure if it was exactly the same, but at least in Bravely Default, I actually ended up with a class that was like, or a party setup that was all ninjas. Because I would basically just like do two-handed or dual wield,
Did you see that?
basically blitzes,
I'm
kill
amazing.
everything.
Well, I feel like games like this, they shouldn't seek to be perfectly balanced. They should allow certain things to just be, like, really strong.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
that's
the
that's
OG
inevitable when you have a game like this where there's so many different combinations that you can set up.
You got it.
Inevitably, there's going to be some combination of abilities and classes and weapons that are just going to be really good.
Okay,
So-
what's the plan?
I mean, hell, like Bart's special in the city is basically a direct call out to the OP combination of skills in Final Fantasy V.
Spell sword.
Yeah, spell sword, dual wield, rapid fire.
Yep.
What that is.
Money.
They're in the field I have equipped now.
Here,
Ooh,
though.
yeah, got the weights. Let's see. Cap. Well, leather cap is better anyway, so I'll put that. Caravan coat. Tunic. You know what? I'm gonna see if this is better. What?
They don't-
What?
Where's your attack?
Oh, it's the same weight. That's fine.
Yeah, the weight comparison arrow is a bit weird.
What? But I unequipped. Didn't I?
Wait, what are you looking
That's-
at?
So it's like wait. 1, 6, 8, 10, 3. Yeah, so wait a second.
Oh yeah, you're at 13 right now.
Oh, I see.
The round
That's
shield has
cute.
2 more weight.
Yeah, that's. Guess I'll keep more of that for now.
It's like when you pick up stuff in like a Bethesda game, you're like, oh crap, now I got to drop all my missiles or whatever because they weigh too much.
Oh well.
I wonder how bad the penalty is for like. Is there any reason you'd want to like deliberately go over by a point, or is it kind of like too big of a drawback for that to ever be useful?
Oh no. Oh, what?
Oh, it must just it must just be a chance.
Too easy.
Oh, I'm stronger in the gargoyles now. I'm sorry, bronze whales. Very specific.
That doesn't make sense though, because like gargoyle, I didn't think specified a material type.
And they don't even look like they're made out of bronze. They look like they're made out of stone.
Which is what a gargoyle is. This extra specificity is not helping anyone. Maybe they just did that so they can tier them up, and then later in the game you'll fight iron goyles and steel goyles.
Yep.
Should have just called them Objet d'Art, like actual Final Fantasy V.
Still no sign of him. Where is the useless old fart?
Calm yourself, Dag. Becoming flustered at a time like this will only benefit our enemies. He almost got the better of you, it is true. But you will prevail in the end. You always do.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. And when I do, we'll have the wind crystal. And that little beauty's gonna make the both of us filthy, stinking rich!
You do not care that your actions might bring about untold calamity.
Pull the other one. That calamity stuff's just a load of bulldust some drongo made up so they could keep the crystals for themselves.
I can assure you that it is no such thing. You have seen the state of the oceans for yourself. Does that not concern you at all?
Pah! It couldn't concern me less, you Madge. It'll take more than a couple of waves to put me off making the big bucks.
Oh, how can you possibly be so short-sighted?
This guy has very prologue antagonist vibes about him. Make sense?
Now, do these automatically teleport you? Oh, yes, they do.
That yes. Well, maybe you can teleport back.
Hopefully. Oh, yes. Okay, that's good.
Can you save in the dungeon?
Uh,
Like I'm trying to think like why.
No, you
can't.
cannot.
So that's what they're for. There you go. So
Yeah,
I
that
guess-
was confusing me though, because like in Final Fantasy V, there was blue circles that if you stood in them, you could save in the dungeon, and like you could use a tent. So it's, I guess if you can just teleport out of the dungeon with them, it functionally does the same thing. But it's still kind of weird that they don't just let you like have an option to save when you step on one.
Yeah, otherwise you're just gonna step out to the world map, use a tent, save, and step back.
Yeah.
There is an autosave too, though, so I don't even know
Yeah.
like how
That's a good
necessary
point.
going out to save really is.
And honestly, it's a bit weird for me to say, oh, but this might confuse people that have played Final Fantasy V. How many people in the West have actually played Final Fantasy V?
Not me.
You should.
I know I should.
Top 3. That's the way you came.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
It's our
Damn, bubble geometry.
Let's stay focused.
And then there were 2 of them.
I wonder how much.
Help.
I wonder how much of the gear is reflected like on the character models. Is it just weapons?
It looks like it's just weapons and shields.
But then your class.
Looks like we did it.
Yeah.
Now,
They-
this game has multiple difficulty levels. What are you playing at? Just normal?
Just normal. I might bump it up to hard later if I think it's too easy, but I think it's fine for now.
And
You can change it whenever, right?
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of people saying that the bosses are very much difficulty spikes, so
They're sitting ducks.
don't judge just by what we're seeing here.
Okay, what's the plan?
So I guess the dart would be useful if someone's weak to arrow type attacks.
Enjoy. Too easy.
I hope one of the classes is like item based, where they can like use 2 items in a turn or do double damage with items or something. For whatever reason, that
Here you can actually. Oh, that's
What?
probably why you have the monster parts. Is there's probably chemists in the game.
Because I always
There's
just
salve
I
maker.
love that archetype of item based classes.
Yeah.
Like, where you have to use like a fixed resource to do damage or heal or whatever, rather than, well, I guess like mana as a resource, but you know what I mean.
I definitely feel like I'm appreciating this game more than if I hadn't played Final Fantasy V. So,
Okay, all right.
When was the last game I played that had classes like this? I think I played there was an indie tactical game that came out on PC
Too
a couple years ago called Fell Seal, which is very much like Final Fantasy Tactics in a different coat of paint. But even then,
that game is
a
pretty much like we want to make Final Fantasy Tactics, and they're going to make it as similar as we possibly
yeah,
can.
but that's of course a grid-based tactics.
legally distinct Final Fantasy Tactics.
Also a game with a art style that's
We've got
kind
the
of
upper
an
hand,
acquired
guys.
taste.
So when you attack the wrong one.
Come and get her! Eat sorcery! Plenty more where I came from!
Okay then.
We're done already? Huh.
It's kind of surprising you don't get access to, say, a white mage type class, or well, actual white mage early on. I'm assuming that Gloria is one.
Strike while the
That
items
would work. Like you got your black mage, you got your 2. I mean, they're both freelancers. They haven't really distinguished themselves apart from each other much. Adele and Seth, other than Adele comes with 2 weapons equipped. Like, by the way, you can equip 2 weapons. There you go.
Guess it's my turn. Here goes.
Now this is the sort of game where there's like not functionally any difference between the characters, right? Like if
Yeah.
you made anyone a mage, they would be equally as, capable.
What's how much of the stats are tied to the job and how much of the stats are tied to the character?
There was actually a conversation in the staff chat earlier. Basically, found out that there is no difference between stats for any of the characters.
Sometimes you get games, I think Tactics Ogre does this, where when you level up in a certain class, you get like bonuses to your stats depending on what class you are when you level up. And that makes it so you have to be careful, like you have your mage unit like always be a mage when they level up of some sort so that they always are getting, MP and magic power and whatnot. And that means eventually they wouldn't be very good as a fighting class. I don't think Bravely does that. You can swap them however you want.
Well, yeah, I don't like that sort of
that
system
make sense?
because then it kind of discourages
Experimentation, right?
experimentation, like making hybrid sort of like spell swords or whatever.
I just realized there's no reason for me not to set this as their sub jobs.
Oh, I wonder if they get job points for their sub job. Oops. Yeah, maybe that's tip 101. Remember to set your sub job if they get job points for it.
I'm assuming though, like, a few hours from now, the amount of JP you're getting from these battles will be like pittance compared to what you'll be getting in
The
later
wide
battles.
open, get stuck in. Here I go.
Yeah, and that gives me access to black magic. I don't know why I hadn't done that earlier.
I'm going all in.
No, I didn't think about it
You
either.
just didn't need to.
Maybe I'm just equally dumb. Oh yeah, that's sort of definitely like different model compared to the one she had. Man, something about that just really like tickles my middle school brain. It's like, yeah, the sword that I put on the menu is now reflected in battle appropriately.
Well, I mean, they've been doing that since as far back as the original Final Fantasy, so it makes sense. And honestly, yeah, this is Bravely, but I'm just gonna say it's a Final Fantasy like sub-series. It basically is.
Well,
Yep.
maybe Adam can speak to this more than I can, but like they had that DS game 4 Warriors of Light or 4 Heroes of Light, which is kind of like proto Bravely. And like,
Yep.
and then Hero Warrior of Light is a very much like a loaded Final Fantasy term.
I mean, it's literally called Final Fantasy to Warrior of Light.
Oh, is it? Okay, there you go.
There's 4 crystals, and there are Phoenix Downs, and you have 4 Heroes of Light. It's a Final Fantasy. I think that's fair.
This is definitely a combat game. What is
Oh,
that?
there's the save point.
Like as soon as
But
I
you
ask.
can, there you go. There you can also use a tent and heal and all that.
And it
That's it.
turns blue when you stand on it, so yeah. Might as well use a tent.
You're pretty well. I guess why not? You're pretty topped off though. I like it. Don't mind us.
Hear me, villains! I have brought to you the fabled jewel as requested. Now, prove that thou art as good as thy word. Allow the princess to go free.
Not until we have seen the crystal. Dag,
On it.
Now back, rogue. The princess. Release her unto me.
first the crystal. And please, do not try anything foolish. Your precious princess will only suffer all the more.
Come on, Gramps. Hand it over.
Very well. The Princess Gloria, by the light of the sun!
The eyes!
Go, go, go!
You okay, Gloria?
It's you. Thank you. Yes.
This way.
Princess, thou art unhurt, I pray?
I'm quite all right. Thank you, Sir Sloan. Can we leave the pleasantries for later? We need to get out of here.
Curses.
I will hold them off.
Did you
Go
really
without me.
think we would not be prepared for some manner of cheap trickery? So sorry to disappoint you. And you know, we really would have let you go unharmed if you had handed over the crystal as requested. But that is out of the question now. You have upset us, and therefore we must teach you a lesson. A very painful lesson.
Too bloody right we must. You've half blinded me here.
Oh, for goodness sake. Pull yourself together, Dag.
I'll be right, boss. Just a bit blindsided by these Dromgo's dirty tricks is all. You'll pay for that.
Damn. It can't end like this. We were so...
Yes, Emerald.
What the?
Can it truly be?
What's going on here?
Oh shit.
Where am I?
You. You who heed my call.
Wait. That's the voice I heard after I fell into the sea.
Hear me. I am wind. The sigh of the land made crystal.
The wind crystal? So that thing Sir Sloan was carrying is... talking to me?
It is. It was I whose
Very
breath
matter of
brought you
fact.
to this place. But there were those who would have seen you sunk forever. Who cut your life's thread short.
What? Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me I died back there?
I am. Here. Your thread retied, rewoven.
This is a trope I actually kind of like.
And now,
Like this isn't the first game to do something like this, but it's uncommon enough where, at least to me, it doesn't feel trite
and
yet.
allow the coming of calamity, or make a stand and fight for your survival. Should you choose the latter, you need only step into the light. If you seek the sweet release of death instead, you need only wait for it to wrap its arms around you.
It got me between a rock and a hard place here, Mr. Emerald. Oh, you
Wait.
literally get a timer?
So, talk to Crystal, I guess.
Lies. There is still time to change your mind.
Wait, that's not what I meant to do. Shit.
But no,
Wait, huh?
Oh, wait.
This being so,
No, I think this is right. Basically, you said like if you just waited in the cold embrace of death, you would have like gotten like an auto game over. You can beat this game in an hour if you just get to this part and then let yourself die. Apparently.
All right.
Special abilities.
Definitely really enjoying the soundtrack so far.
Yeah, for sure.
What just happened?
What was that light?
A revelation. The crystal's blessing. And that can mean only one thing. Thou art one of us. A hero of light.
Dun dun dun. Now his job has kind of changed from freelancer to hero, something like that. Well, where'd this battlefield come from?
You guys are in for a thrashing!
Oh, she's the white mage.
This should do it.
Her outfit does kind of give it away.
Get it! It's my time to shine. I'll give it all I got.
Yeah, I assume it's prudent to take out the white mage.
Let's keep it up.
I like that we had to do like all that fancy stuff just to do about as much damage as Sloan does.
Don't get cocky, Dag.
Oh, and I bet he's the Vanguard that they mentioned in the Tetracast.
I can pay 100 times over.
All right then.
Yep, I basically, in Bravely Default for 3DS, I basically have exploited the special abilities where I would basically use one character's special ability and then kind of ride out the music, and then like as soon as the music was about to end, I'd like start another character's special ability to kind of chain it. I don't know if the system here works the same, but that way you kind of keep the stat up the whole time.
Can she be poisoned?
Yes.
Yes.
Aha. It's always good when poison actually works on boss characters.
Stop healing.
Okay then. I'm going all in.
Try to knock her out.
You rang?
Oh.
She's like vulnerable to everything.
There we go.
Ah.
No more healing, Dag.
Selena? Selena! You've done it now! Prepare to die, Drongos!
But now you have like no points. Oof.
Maybe a bad idea.
Nah, you're fine.
Oh.
He's not even taking advantage of it. Like, I'm going to default while none of you guys can act.
No one
Just
calls
remind
you?
me of that game. Your motherfucking life ends 30 seconds from now.
Maybe you should spend one turn doing the examine to see what he's weak to.
Oh no.
Oof.
Oh.
You're all right.
Oh.
Right?
Like the very first freelancer
idea.
skill is to examine. Do you have any Phoenix Sound? Oh, one. One. Maybe heal set. Thunder, dagger, and staff.
Enjoy.
Spirits heal us.
Oh, thank you.
Not yet.
Thank you, Sloan.
He's got a secret
You've
stash.
got our back.
He only got like 1,000 health left, so you might be able to. I guess you don't have a lot of actions.
This'll do it.
Cheers. I owe you one.
Try this.
Oh, potions don't do much at all. Oh, but
Gosh. Thank you.
Yeah, where would we be without you, Sloan?
Not a very opportune default. I guess he's hard. He's got like 500.
To push too far is plus one
Oh,
thanks,
there
Chloe.
we go.
Had enough yet?
We're good at this game.
Fire,
Hooray!
Lucky Charms.
This feels good.
Even Gloria's a freelancer. So they all start as
Oh,
I
yes.
Now
guess.
you get,
except for
but now you'll get 2 new classes.
Yep. I'm guessing. Yep. Auto white mage. And I'm guessing that Seth gets. Yep. Warrior.
Vanguard.
Why don't they make Seth the white
Man,
mage
I
and
love this shit.
Gloria
I'm
the
sorry. I
Vanguard?
just like outfits that change on jobs. I should play Trials of Mana, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get you back for this.
Hey,
And they changed their
not
outfits
so
too.
fast.
Rude.
So Sloane,
Like you don't have
time
any
to make
right
a
to
swift
those
exit.
just because they're like bad people.
No.
What was
Wait.
kind of weird in Bravely Default is like
Sloane!
many of the asterisk holders you would
okay, right?
actually like literally kill. And in the cutesy art style, you don't realize it, but you're sort of like, man, our body count's actually pretty high. We're just all these people
All
we
right, let's get
murdered
out of here before they
for their
come back with
classes.
more of their friends.
So I guess at least it's not that bad.
Yeah, I guess.
So Sloane did not die.
Not yet.
Well, I think we're kind of at the point where we've run a little bit over. Like I think that might be kind of a good point to start wrapping down.
Oh, it didn't actually change it. It just made it look like you changed.
Oh, it just gave
No.
you the option for it. I love the hat.
Fuzzy hat.
So I'll be honest with you guys, like as soon as like we're done recording here, I'm probably just gonna boot up my save file and get going. Like I think it's just like this is like a perfect early year game. At least for me.
Yep. This is for me, JRPG comfort food. I'm gonna see the party chat and then let's call it after that.
Sure. Sounds good. I like how
I do
their jobs
remember,
are reflected here.
Yeah, I do remember it was actually kind of funny in Bravely Default when you had like the hunter job, I think it was, or maybe it was some other job where like you have like a wolf mask and there could be like really serious conversations and your character is just like wearing this really goofy furry mask.
Yeah, I want to see like I want to see like a trickster class or something where you're like wearing like a clown suit or something. All right, well, thanks for joining us at our look at Bravely Default 2. We also did talk about this game a little bit in depth in the edition of the TetraCast, episode 192, if you're watching this later. Thanks for driving, James. I think obviously like this is a game that I think all three of us like. Well, actually, I'm kind of the odd one out because James had all the comparisons to Final Fantasy V, and Adam's played the other Bravely's, and I'm sitting here like I played Tactics. That's a game with jobs. But yeah, this is a game that I've been looking forward to for a while.
Yeah, because I wasn't really hyped for it, but like as soon as I finished like Final Fantasy V, I was like hankering. Like I'm loving Final Fantasy VI. It's definitely a masterpiece, but my pace is kind of slowed down because it's like, man, I really liked 5. I want more of that, and this is
5 is really good.
Yeah, this is kind of like scratching that itch so far. So definitely gonna keep playing it.
So maybe we'll be back next week. We'll see if we can make this 3 weeks in a row. I want to bank on it, but we'll see. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, you can always visit our website at rpgsite.net. Listen to our podcast, TetraCast, on your favorite podcasting stations, I suppose. Is that the right word?
Yep.
And otherwise, you'll hear from us next time. Until then, take care and stay safe.
Later, everyone.